Episode 4 of The Last of Us Season 2 is now streaming. You can check it out. It just premiered earlier tonight, and I'm here to talk to you guys about it. And there are going to be spoilers in this discussion, as there have been for the episode breakdowns of the last few weeks. So without further ado, let's get into it. This is the halfway point of Season 2. This is a shorter season, and you've just arrived in Seattle. In the previous episode, Ellie and Dina were at the outskirts of it, and you got a glimpse at just how massive the entire WLF is. And now that Ellie and Dina are in city limits, they're going around trying to find a way to find these WLF and hopefully lead them to Abby and everyone else who killed Joel. And essentially what you get over here is that first day with them, as they're exploring the city and also having a few other moments. But before I get into all of that, this is also an episode that I was looking forward to because it includes an element that I've been wanting to see expanded on from the games. And that was with the WLF, especially with its leader, Isaac. In the game, you get a couple of scenes with him, and there's a lot of backstory that is provided as to who this man is and all the stuff that he's done. And I think one of the things in the game that I wanted more of was to learn more about this character. In the show, once again, he's played by Jeffrey Wright, which makes him the second actor after Merle Dandridge played Marlene in the game and in the show to reprise a role. And you get a little more insight into his character, a little bit more time with him. The episode starts off with him actually, as he is posing as a Fedra sergeant, and he is in this truck with other Fedra soldiers, and they're talking about how the voters who are in Seattle area are being pushed back. And the reason that they're called voters is because their rights have been taken away, because Fedra turned into this very fascistic police force after the entire outbreak happened, about 15 years prior. And there's a point where they encounter some people who seem to be WLF, and so the truck stops, Isaac gets out, and it's like, okay, we're gonna corner you guys, and then he turns around, pulls out a grenade, throws it into the Fedra truck, and blows up everybody on the inside, and then kills the driver. And then there's one officer who steps outside with Isaac and decides to defect and join the WLF, who you see later on in the episode as Isaac is interrogating one of the seraphites. This longer sequence where he's talking about how the next attack could be stopped, where it could be. And while that's happening, one of the guards outside the door is that other WLF soldier. Going back to Ellie and Dina now though, as they're exploring the city, you get a lot of moments from the game over here. I also like that they included smaller bits, like there's a tank that they find on the streets, and Ellie looks inside and she sees the 3 burnt skeletons, and she says this is just like Apollo 1. And in the game there's a conversation about how the astronauts were in Apollo 1, the mission, and they burnt up, and that their cause was towards a scientific endeavor. Meanwhile, these were just assholes trying to kill other assholes. And then eventually Dina suggests that, hey, I can see the TV tower, which is in the game, and that we can go over there, but it'll be a better idea to go at night because then they won't see us coming. Otherwise, if we go right now, they'll definitely see us coming. In the game, you actually just go there. It's like, and that's the funniest thing about it, is that in the middle of the day, you're just on Shimmer going there. In the show, it's a different strategy. So they decide to camp out for a bit, and they enter a music store. And this leads to probably the best scene of the game for a lot of people, where Ellie finds a guitar and she starts singing Take On Me. A scene that, shockingly, to this day, I cannot believe is an optional moment. If you're not exploring that specific part of downtown Seattle, you can miss this entire moment, which is probably the most romantic moment in the entire game between these two. And it's kind of a relationship cementing moment. But in this show, because we haven't really gotten into the relationship yet, we're still building to that. So this really acts as that, moment where Dina sees Ellie playing and she gets very emotional listening to it. And they nailed this. I was very curious about how they were going to do this moment because, the scene in the game is really well done, and I was curious how the singing was going to go, especially. I think Bella Ramsey crushed it, and Isabella Merced, as she's reacting to, Ellie singing, this having this, moment where she's swept up and she's about to start crying. I was like, yep, that there is that emotional moment once again captured. And eventually when they go towards the TV tower, you see a very similar sight like in the game, where the main newsroom, you see bodies that are hung up, and it is from the seraphites who have attacked it. You see a body with arrows covered as well. And then you look on the wall and you see the sign saying, "Feel her love," which of course discusses the prophet that they have and how they keep referring back to her, like she's the one who guides us, and that no matter what pain we go through, like she will show us the way, and all that. This idea of believing in someone. And then you get a very in-game like sequence as other WLF arrive to check on everything that's happened. They eventually encounter Ellie and Dina, and they evade the WLF after that, and they head down into the tunnel, and they enter the subway station where there's this decommissioned train, and a lot of infected start attacking, and there are flares which are launched. And this entire sequence is phenomenally executed, very much reminiscent of how it played out in the game, with a couple of differences. Like there were shamblers and different kinds of infected too. I didn't see any of those over here, but there were a lot of clickers and normal infected. And very similar to that, Ellie takes a hit, and in the case of the game, there's spores, and so her mask breaks, and that's how Dina finds out that Ellie is immune, because she's able to breathe spores. Over here, Ellie gets another bite on her arm, and they eventually run away, Ellie and Dina, and they get to the movie theater, where Dina points a gun at Ellie because she thinks that Ellie might be infected. And Ellie has to reassure her that, listen, I am immune, now you have to know this, and you can keep the gun pointed at me, don't shoot me, but if I start turning, you do something, but I promise you I'm not going to turn. And she doesn't turn, and when she wakes up, Dina tells Ellie that she's also pregnant. And it's at this moment that they finally decide, after 4 episodes, to give you what you want, I guess, and they start making out, they have sex, and then they're a couple now. And they get to talking about that, the fact that they'll be together now, and the fact that they've had some feelings for each other for a long time now, and how the entire idea of Dina liking girls was something that wasn't really allowed as part of her family dynamic, especially her mom, but the fact that she liked boys and girls, and this is the time where she can finally embrace that. So it's a really nicely done moment, and you get this really great thing where they consummate their relationship. And then they hear attacks outside, and you look down the street and you see the hospital building, and that there seems to be a huge amount of gunfire and all that going on over there, and something's happening, and that's where the episode ends. So clearly we are heading towards that area, which is also like the game. You are eventually going to go there. There's a couple of detours that happen in the game though, which haven't happened yet, and I will talk more about that when we get to the next episode, because one thing hasn't happened yet so far, and I'm just curious to see how it plays out the next episode, but then I'll discuss that aspect of it. It is something that is missing, but yeah, another fairly solid episode. So let me know what you guys thought of episode 4 of season 2. Let me know in the comments down below, and what you guys are looking forward to seeing in it next. Guys, thank you very much as always for watching. Look forward to more videos very soon. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe. And remember, when you're lost in the darkness,